Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Big Idea Podcast. We really feel good about today's show. I can't imagine anybody in our industry not knowing who David Rozek is, but in case you don't, let me tell you, he embodies servant management, and he's technical without being a nerd. He can answer every technical question you can imagine, but you can also engage him in Chicago Bears football talk. We respect the guy. We love the guy. He'll help anybody, and he's certainly helped me. So without further ado, David Rozek, tell the few people on the planet that don't know who you are or what you do, who you are and what you do.
Oh, let's see. I have a whole bunch of crappy titles. But I'm a growth strategist for car dealers. My biggest thing is just helping other people. Doesn't matter if you're in a car dealership.
Hold on. Everybody on the planet has this tendency to say one thing and do another. And this guy tells you he lives to help people. He lives to help people. I had added in, David, because we're all car guys and we hear, oh, my culture's great. You go, it's like you're waiting for pirates to come off the roof. And David sees he loves to help people. Man, I don't know anybody that doesn't light up when they see him on caller ID. I didn't mean to interrupt David, but I wanted to know.
No, please. I appreciate all the accolades. It's just I'm just a smart used car manager and someone that enjoys coaching people and kids and helping people. I mean, it doesn't matter if I'm volunteering at church or whatever. Doesn't mean if I'm volunteering coaching football or soccer or wrestling. All those things I'm very passionate about. But most of all, I'm just passionate about everybody that's within my sphere of influence to kind of say, hey, what's your problem? And if they have a problem, it's like Michael always says, I got a guy. And normally,
well, wait a minute.
I have a guy.
When you asked Michael what his problem was, he said it was Larry Feldman. I don't know how you got out of that one.
It was something about this Irish temple he was at. I don't know what that meant. He said, I'm at the Irish temple. Can you help me with that? I'm like, that one I don't know if I can because I don't drink. But okay.
Stop interrupting him, Gary, will you? He's on a roll.
I mean, he's a Patriots fan. What do you expect?
Well, I got to say, between Mike Larkin and David Rozek, I finally understand what EEAT actually is. And I'm hoping we talk a lot about that today because dealers are confused. Dealers are being pitched all kinds of garbage. And there's so much noise out there. And I love David's quote, chaos to clarity. So David, if you could continue and share what you continuously do is share your knowledge. So thank you very much. I appreciate it.
There's a lot of little acronyms that we all have in marketing. We have in AI. We have in the showroom. Whether it be a term like ACV or whether it be a term like EEAT, they all have meaning to us. But sometimes the public and Greenpeace don't understand that. And because of siloed effects between departments, one person is talking about, what's the SOT? And it's like, okay, source of truth. Okay, so I like acronyms because it makes me think. What does ABCs mean? To some people, it's always be closing. This morning, it was always be communicating. But tomorrow, it could be something else. It could be always be creating clarity. So one of my biggest jobs at the dealership is to realize first that, number one, I had to sell myself every day on being there. I had to make sure that I was always on stage and that everybody around me knew that I stood for what I was going to do. And if I told you something, that's what my word is my bond. And not just saying that, but it's just I had to do the task that I told you I was going to do and live to that every day. But I'd also have to show it to you. So having that mindset and kind of growing up with a grandfather that said, if you're going to bitch about something, have the solution or shut the hell up. Okay. So having that mindset and going, okay, do your best and then some. Now that's a Zig Ziglar thing, right? And we all have these things that we've learned from everybody. But I kind of took that to heart when I became a manager because I had to work everybody's pay plan. And when I made a lot of mistakes as a manager, I said, it's not that I have bad salespeople. It's not that I have bad internet people. It's not that I have bad people in the shop or wherever else I was pointing my finger at that day. It was, they had obstacles in their way. And it was my job as a leader to remove all the obstacles out of their way. If I could give them clarity, we didn't have a problem with follow-up time. We didn't have a problem with scheduling this. If I gave you a process and a structure, or we coached and trained on things to the way that if something went wrong, it was okay. We could say, I understand, to that problem customer in front of me. Repeat back to them and pause what they just said while we were thinking of a solution. But first we had to think about that and not go to guns on somebody right away because they have a problem. And it all came down to one thing that I learned back in the late 80s, early 90s, on the showroom floor, in the military, and it came down to trust. And the same shit that we were talking about back in the 90s, where's Rhonda with her swear jar? The same stuff that we were talking about then really is trust, but it comes down to EEAT. And I kind of wrote an article, and I talked about the triad in the car business and what's going on, right? But even though I talked about one of the most important things to me is women in automotive, empowering, having a seat at the table, and having a voice, right? But there was a couple other parts to it. But we could talk about those, but we're going to waste an awful lot of time. They all equal one thing, though, in the triad, and that really is just trust. And it's the same thing that AI wants to know, the customers in our community want to know, people in the shop that come and visit us, they want to know they can trust us with their car. We're not going to take advantage of them, and those are things that mean a lot to me. And it's my job to eliminate all those reasons why a customer can't trust us, why a salesman won't trust me enough to come to work for me. If you can't trust me with your kids running around the showroom, then there's a problem. Okay? If you can't trust me with helping you with finding a car for you, there's a problem. Okay? I need to eliminate that churn or anxiety that you have as a customer. And I'm not talking about sales tactics and disarming people, but I do need to genuinely be your concierge and help you out with making a decision. But the same thing goes when I'm helping my showroom staff. I'm your concierge. I might have the manager's title, and somebody may have given me that for some unforeknown reason. I have no idea. Maybe because I sold a few cars. But when I got that title, I didn't earn it yet. It took a long time for me to really earn that title and learn by all the mistakes I made. And then even today, I'm learning from each one of you guys. And every time we have a podcast on lethal sales and other things that we go to in Clubhouse, every day is just a learning opportunity, and every day I get something out of it. And I think that's what the missing part is that everybody points a finger at somebody and say, your product doesn't work. This doesn't work right. I get it, but what did you put into it to make it successful? What was your operational plan with this product? How is it supposed to work? What chaos and churn did you remove to give your people clarity every day? And guess what? If your people have clarity and you tell that story effectively and you apply EEAT to it, from a social brand theater type of theory, the consumers start learning it, the AI starts learning it, and all of a sudden you're trusted. But now it's really going to blow your mind out of all this shit, right? So we have all these processes, and everybody says, what do I do first? How do I do that? Well, it's a little bit of everything, okay, because you want to be the everything button. And you can't just sit back on your ass anymore. You have to be involved in every piece of the puzzle. You have to and like Michael says, you have to connect the dots, all right? We have to be more effective at connecting the dots. But at the same time, we have to realize that the reason we're connecting the dots, at one point, and not too far in the distant future, because the SEO shit that we're doing today is not SEO. It's really not. It's really based on the same basic principles we always should have been doing. In a matter of a couple of years, it's just going to be machine-to-machine communication. We won't even need a website. You can just talk to your AI and say, this is what I'm looking for. And it's going to give you a landing page with what you wanted. If that dealer or that OEM is smart enough to put that information there for us to find. If a company like Amazon takes all the information and the OEM says, I'm going to have all the information come here and my shopping assistant's going to go there and get it, why do I need the dealer? Because the dealer wasn't proactive? Didn't get his AI to communicate with my AI and answer the question? Now, I hate AI, by the way. As an artist and somebody that writes creatively, I hate AI for that standpoint. But I use AI for a lot of things to empower me. all right, and to empower others. And it does get me to an answer quicker, but it's how I use it. And I know we just covered a whole lot of shit. Larry, what do you got to ask me about now?
Well, I got a question.
At the bit. Oh, okay.
Go ahead, Michael.
Assets.
Okay.
Dealer assets. They're leaving the assets. They're relying on, and still relying on, hey, where's my leads? Third-party leads. When they can own their own assets to directly get those leads to their business. So they've been quite lazy in paying huge amounts of money to third party while these assets are so, I mean, they're right in front of you. Yep. Why wouldn't you grab it based on the proof and build your business that way? Because when you sell your business, you own the assets. Can you talk a little bit about that and
Sure.
and what's been ignored and where the assets can kind of put you head and shoulders above your competition?
Well, I think not having that guy or that gal to help you is a big dilemma, right? I think the laziness part is a big dilemma. I think that cleavage can be a big dilemma. And hey, I hate to say it that way, but you can be excited by the guy that walks in with a pretty suit and know him or be attracted to him or her or whatever and make a decision based on relationship, the wrong decision, okay? But you also have a bunch of crooks out there that are selling you something and you believe it by the masses because you believe that you need to spend this. And it's always, okay, it's mid-month meeting, Dave. What do we do? And I'm like, okay, guys, we started the month with a $10,000 budget. We blew our wad in the first 15 days, pretty much, and so did everybody else. Now it's the second half of the month. Now we're going to bump that budget in the last 15 to 10 days to 15 grand. But what we're actually doing there is, sure, I may be budgeting you, but you're going to spend that anyway. And then I'm going to segment what we should target and use a sniper effect to it, right? But that's me. That's not everybody. Most dealers set it and forget it. And what do? Hey, what do I need to spend? Well, based on your impressions and traffic and lost impressions, Dave, and loss of engagement, and if you really look, people are buying here. Who's selling what on your loss, your reports? Okay, well, why don't we conquest this area and why don't you spend $30,000? Rather than take your first-party clean data, use some of your conquest data, use a multi-channel approach with multiple products that you can control and that you own that data. If you had a CDP, if you had clean data, if you had clean digestible data on your website, if your social media engine was pushing out the same consistent message too, and everybody believed that you were an answer when they needed something, you're going to be the choice by AI, and that's only growing, okay? It's not just the guy with the Great Bulls commercial during intermission or before the Bears game or after show or whatever else, okay? It's not the guy that's on the radio network, and I'm not saying that those things don't help you sell a car because it's still branding. We don't know what we don't know, but we also are not mind readers. So we don't know when a customer's driving in their car and they hear a great lease payment on an Acura and go, you know what? I really do like that car. It's $399 a month on a lease for 30 months. I think, you know what? I got to call my wife and say, hey, let's go looking at a car. What do you think? Sure. So they go there, right? They got this great payment. They walk in the door, show me that car. They don't have the car that fits that payment. Okay? It was a leader, and the experience sucks. But we don't know when that branding message happens. Okay? But back in the day, before the internet and pay-per-click and all this great stuff, how did we buy a car? Somebody told me and said, hey, I'm going to go to my neighbor. Hey, you know what? Hey, Gary, I'm looking to get a new Buick. Okay? And it's actually for my mom. She's retired. She wants a Buick. Who should I send her to? Oh, Dave, I got a guy. That's how we did business. The internet and everything else and social media needs to be our guy, our gal. But what we get confused with is that we're not looking at an ROI. We're not going to our CDP, controlling our traffic, and then looking at all of our sources and realizing that a bunch of impressions doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to sell a car. It could mean that you got clicks. It could mean that they couldn't find what they wanted on your site because 70% of people buy from the person that's with the closest to them and has the car. You have selection and you're close, they're probably going to buy from you or they work by you, right? But those 30%, that's what the advertising is really the fight's over. Now, we lose more than that because we're not easy to do business with. I mean, how does CarMax outsell us in Carvana? Let's see. They have a lot of inventory. They can sell in between states. They make it easy. They'll buy your car without buying us. They only have like 3 advertising things that they tell you, maybe 4. So let me ask you something. If everybody likes to talk on Clubhouse about Carvana and about CarMax and they're this and that and vehicle acquisition, why do we not all get together and conquest them to buy their traffic? Why are we not running a social media ad? Why are we not running a YouTube ad, an OTT ad? Saying that not just we buy your cars because we sound like a jewel or pawn shop, okay? It's just we need to come out with a good message that's very similar to theirs. But why am I not conquesting them? I'm not prevented by an OEM from buying Carvana or buying CarMax, but have you ever had a dealer get on a podcast and tell you, I'm conquesting Carvana? No, they don't, because their marketing people are assholes, okay? They don't think about it. They think about, we just want to go after the spread. Spend another 30 grand with me. Great, I made a bigger commission this month. But the dealer got some more clicks, but did he sell more cars? If he would have had clean data, you would have practiced EEAT, you were to work on your customer handling skills and your follow-up skills and coached your people first, things would have been different. You should have called.
People are out there, David, going, what the hell is EEAT? I say, Google it and decide what it is for yourself. But the story is that this time last year, Google was down 40%. And they go, holy shit, Nola, what the hell are we going to do? We need to remain profitable. So they agreed to, with ChatGPT and Claude and
not necessarily ChatGPT though.
Well, but the bottom line is, hey, let's consolidate or filter through all this data slop that people are experiencing right now with hallucinations, and this is the wrong answer because it's programmed to give you an answer, whether it's right or wrong or indifferent. So the EEAT is the agreement on, hey, how are we going to filter this content? And if you're not doing this type of content, you're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. And the bottom line is, you can do a great video and dance your way, and I sold the car. What does that have to do with your experience, your expertise, your authoritativeness, or your trustworthiness? Nothing. And that's the point is, I'm going to do it in-house. Go ahead. Because AI cannot create experience. It cannot create expertise. It cannot create authoritativeness. That's got to be done by a human.
Yeah. And it can give you a sense of false trust, though.
Let me jump in for a second. I just got done training a bunch of folks in Pennsylvania, and they were really a good crew. They'd taken a lot of people. And I explained that all car salespeople talk about all day, it's not sex, it's not sports, it's that there's no business. And then when a customer pulls up, 3 idiots go, he doesn't look like a buyer, send the new guy out. How can you complain? No, how can you complain there's no business when there's always orphan owners at any dealership?
Yep.
There's always service customers at every dealership. Yep. If you're not in Virginia, Ohio, or California, you can write a referral check. We used to call it a bird dog. And I always tell salespeople, we have an advantage because people don't like the image of us. And there's nothing stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive. I'm kind of in the same ballpark as my good and great friend David. I don't hate AI, but I don't like it because I think people, in a lot of cases, will use it as a crutch rather than a tool. Instead of augmenting what they can do, they'll replace it. David, I've been around a while, so are the guys and you on this program. When I got into the business, it was 1988, and I would watch salesmen when somebody would ask them about a car. Instead of walking out to the lot, they'd pull out of their pocket this white sheet that had printed the inventory. How are you going to get excited by a piece of paper? Well, now we've shifted to let's lean it all on AI. I don't care who you are or what you are. You can't lose the human touch. Plus, if you have the best AI system, you still have to have a human being monitor it. So I understand exactly.
I watched the salesman.
We have a tool that can help us, but if it's a crutch rather than a tool, we're heading for worse problems.
I watched a salesman do that the other day. He reached in his back pocket and he pulled out his list, and I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen that in years. And I'll be honest. I mean, I used to carry a legal pad wherever I went, and at the bottom of my legal pad, I had my
3x5 cards.
Yep,
3x5.
Yep, I had my rubber band around my legal pad, and underneath it was that inventory list. I'd get a new inventory list printed out every day. Now, I wrote down every trade-in, every vehicle that was out on loan, and I wrote down every vehicle that was at detail or at the body shop or wherever. I wanted to touch and know where every car is, which is why as a salesperson, or even when I was a used car manager, I would move the lot every Thursday or Friday. Now, I was prepping for my weekend traffic, and I knew my best display was my front line. So I wanted every hole filled in. I wanted a perfect front line. But I really did it so to make sure that if a car didn't start or it had a funky smell or a tire was low, we could have it addressed before the biggest day of the week, which was my weekend. It was the biggest show I needed to save for because everything I did during the week was to get an appointment on Saturday. Now, I gamed the system because I knew they paid me a hat trick bonus, and I would laugh and go, hey, I delivered 7 today. So, yeah, you owe me some money. But that's okay. But before I did that, I wanted to make sure that I could touch every car, make sure everything started anywhere, every set of keys are, because when somebody come in, one of the worst nightmares is I don't have the keys to the car.
Well, hold on. I have to interrupt this. Do we agree that we got two of the sharpest? I'm talking to Mr. Silman now. You two guys stay silent. Do you agree, Gary? We got two of the sharpest guys on AI in the industry. And yet Mike Larkin's the first guy to pick up the phone and talk to somebody, and David Rozek is telling you he wanted to touch every car and make personal notes so he knew where to take people. So once again, you combined the fact that you could print out a list, but you didn't say, here's the list, what do you think? You said, oh, I know what's on this list. Let me take them to the blue one out there.
Oh, yeah. Even on the new cars, though, I mean, I had to walk the new car inventory where I touched every car and anything came in. I mean, if there's 300 cars on the lot, I had to know all 300 of them. It was rare that I couldn't tell you that, oh, the blue one's up there in the left corner. That truck's back in the right. That one's up on the east lot over here, and people would be like, how do you know that? I said, I'll tell you why. I walk that lot 3 to 5 times a day. Before anybody gets here in the morning, I've already walked that lot. And then when the team
wait a minute, David.
I've done it.
David, we're always fair on this show. We try to look from both sides. Don't you realize the mistake you were making? Because while you were walking the lot 3 to 5 times, you were cutting down and you're complaining that there's no business.
I always picked up a lead out there. I picked up a customer walking the lot because everybody was sitting inside on their ass.
David, I'm at the dealership, and I just started, and these 3 guys in suits, because back then everybody wore a suit and tie. It was a Cadillac agency. Were convincing me that, boy, you're in the wrong field. You're never going to make any money. No problem. A car pulls in. All 4 doors are a different color and the tailpipe's dragging. And they go, look at that piece of crap. He's never buying a car. I said, well, you're the experts. I'm the new guy. Hey, I got to go to the bathroom. I circled the building, went in, bought the guy a soda. They came out and told him it was about $5,000 to repair it. His car's 20 years old. I sold him a car. None of what we're talking about is complicated.
Oh, David.
It's not complicated.
David, we don't have a ton of time, but
okay.
A question,
topic, but that's all right.
A question that I have that I think is right on the money that you mentioned earlier, and we've been talking about it. Dealers got sucked into the big traffic, Cars.com, Auto Trader, all of those things. So dealers made these guys very successful and dominating. Well, now, as you and Mike always talk about, your information is already in your CRM. Your customers are already coming through your service lane. What advice would you give to the audience right now is where they should start working and where they should start looking? Because from all the information I'm hearing and learning, is that the dealer's data is their data. And if they use their data correctly,
but don't get me wrong, it's not though.
In some of those other, but I'm trying to say is what can dealers do to regain their data and keep it in their folders and utilize it without paying crazy money to these vendors that hold their information hostage. So if you could just kind of talk and give them, where should they start? Where should they start to build?
Well, I personally think off-site and on-site SEO is very important, right? But when you say where are the customers at for the day, every customer that I reflect on selling cars to, one of my business success to get to my 30, 40, 50 cars a month as a salesperson in a store that I didn't know anybody, like Larry, they would be out talking, having their coffee clutch and cigarette break. I was in the service lane. I was making friends with the cashier. I knew the porters. I knew everybody around town, and I just moved there. And everybody's like, how did you do that? So to me, the service lane is always a catalyst, right, for anybody. Now, you have to be able to think, I need clean data hygiene. I need to understand SEO. But there's a whole constellation of things that we need to put together and connecting the dots, okay? Because nothing really one thing can pull like anything else, because for the longest time, we've had fragmented data, and we think Cars.com or Auto Trader or pay-per-click is working. We think that billboard is working. We think the newspaper is working, but we can't pick up the damn phone. So we have to understand all of the different metrics that lead to everything. You could have the best Cars.com rep, okay, but you get out of something what you put into it. You could have a great Car Gurus package, but if you're not playing the bucket system, you're wrong. If you don't have Cars Social, if you don't have Dealer Rater, if you're not paying attention to those reviews, if you don't have your listings merchandise right, and at the same time use the right type of retargeting and kind of use a multi-channel approach, if you don't have Auto Trader and you're not spotlighting the right cars the right way, and you're just putting your shit on autopilot to apply the spotlights at the end of the month, and you're not doing 28-day spotlights instead of 14, so you can do them at the end of the month and they repurpose themselves when you sell the car, there's a strategy to every little thing you do at the desk and in the marketing office and in the C-suite. The problem is process. The problem is understanding, communicating. The problem is we have too many freaking dashboards. So clean data, doing business the right way. Start with the service lane if you want to get more people. Conquest the right way. Use the right vendors. Merchandise before you market the car, okay? Because they're two different disciplines, okay? But everything is communication. Everything is doing the dirty deeds first thing in the morning as a manager. Everything is being involved as a salesman and not worrying about the dealership. As a salesman, I always tell my son, they give you a pen and paper and a fucking phone, excuse the language, okay? But the reality is you got to brand yourself.
David, was the curse word there phone? Because most young people seem to think that they're allergic to that.
You know, the phone is one of the most important things. I mean, I'm a difficult person to get on the phone. Don't email me, okay? No, and most of our customers don't email. I mean, sure, you send the email, but you know that the money is in that text. Text them, then call them, email them. We have this arbitrary clock that we put on, but do you know if you just spent an extra 120 seconds writing the right email that actually answers the customer's whys, you get like a 70% better show rate. And that they actually open it because it isn't the same template that the other 5 or 6 dealers sent them to. See, somebody taught everybody in the car business that there's 2 or 3 dealers shopping against you. The average customer is looking at 5 to 7 brands. So think about it. 3 times 5 is 15. 3 times 7 is 21. If it takes 17 touch points to get a person to come in and take a test drive, there's 17 touch points getting made by at least 5 other dealers.
David, there's 16, and it's 16-1 service centers next to dealerships.
Exactly.
David, we try to keep it to a half hour so we get more eyeballs.
Yep.
But on behalf of Mr. Silman and Mr. Larkin, I'm already asking you, would you mind if we got you back a little later? Because we love your content and we love you.
No, and I'm sorry to take you down so many rabbit holes, but the one thing I have to pay attention to is fixed ops, obviously vehicle acquisition, and empower the women in automotive right now. And then all those things help you with building trust. build your brand theater, pay attention to Mike Larkin on the EEAT. Go ahead, Mike.
You're too good of a resource for letting you get away.
Okay.
What I'm gonna reveal one of my hacks, and it happened during COVID when people couldn't go into restaurants, and Facebook put a check-in.
Yeah, I love that.
The check-in allows you to check in where you are, a car lot.
Yep.
And it lets each and every person that is following you or you follow, which is 200 on average or more, letting all your friends, family, coworkers, or whatever know that you're at the lot. It just opens up the conversation. Hey, do you ever buy a car there? Just letting them know where you are. But it's such a simple resource that's being ignored.
I just think somebody should tie into the flock cameras and automatically tell everybody where they're at. Not to take them on the road, but the same thing applies to a picture in a Google review. You have a QR code in the back of your desk to say, share your experience with me today. Thank you so much. Could you scan the QR code and just put it there? And then take a picture with them. Can you imagine a picture of the customer in their car, showing up on your Google review? That's powerful. Heck, if you can get a customer to shoot a video of them banging the gong or the bell in a showroom or eating some popcorn, I don't care. It's just, video does have a great place for it on social media, but it's the content around it that helps you too. So don't just think video alone does it. And one last tip, respond to your reviews. God damn. We talk about such a simple thing. Just respond to people.
The bad ones and the good ones.
Yeah, good or bad.
Yes.
Just say hi back. If something's
David,
wrong, have them contact you.
We're gonna have you back as soon as possible, Mike.
Love you guys.
We appreciate the heck out of you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on.
For joining us.
And if you're not following David posts daily of wonderful, positive information. And
I swear.
Well, but we'll get over that because your information is on the money. So, do yourself a favor and follow David because he's sharing that knowledge and it's excellent information. So thank you for coming on today and wonderful having you. Everybody enjoy their weekend and we'll talk soon.
Everybody stay healthy, David. Thank you.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Go Sox.
Did you say Red Sox?